Do you ever look back at yourself in elementary school and wish you could go back in time? Now, I know that this time could be a very, very cringy time to think about. It certainly was for me. However, there was a certain confidence that I wish I had never lost. I'm not talking about the confidence with something like public speaking or dancing in front of an audience. I'm talking about the type of confidence where I felt comfortable in my own skin. The confidence where I was not afraid to speak my mind, and the confidence where I was happy with who I was. I thought that confidence was something that was not going to come back, something that I was never strong enough to have again. Well, I am here to say that I was wrong. Hi, my name is Riya, and this is my senior stage. This is a letter that I wrote to myself when I was in 3rd grade.
Dear Riya, it's Riya. How are you? Because I'm great. I'm writing to you now because I hope that you turn out to be amazing later in high school, and also because Mrs. Brashear made me. I'm in the middle of my heritage project, and I'm so excited to show my class how awesome my culture is. Do you still dance? Do you like celebrating all of our festivals and holidays? Yesterday we talked about bullying because someone was being a big meanie to this kid in my class. I hope you're super nice and no one ever hurts you or bullies you. I was kind of sad this morning because this boy in my class told me that I smile too much and I try to be cool when I'm not. I don't care though because I think that I'm cool and my smile's great. I believe in this thing called positivity. Do you? School is super duper easy. I love it. I really want to be a teacher. I want to teach cool things to kids like my teachers teach me because they are the real cool people with an awesome job. Do you have nice friends now? Some of my friends are not quite so nice, but I don't want to be mean and not talk to them. I hope you can be a big girl and only have nice friends. Do you still think about Emma? She means a lot to me and I wish that I was there for her more. I miss her and I hope she's having a good time in heaven. Mrs. Brashear was telling us to wrap up our final thoughts. So all I want to say is I hope you are happy and that you are great. I love you. Haha, I just said I love myself. Bye.
Again, what you just heard was a letter that I wrote to my future self in 3rd grade. I must say, when this letter resurfaced itself, it was quite a kick to read. My spelling was god-awful. I thought the word positivity was positivity, and I definitely do not find school super duper easy anymore. Putting those aside, I could not believe what I wrote. It highlighted the main points of my time at Shady Side that defines who I am now. I was almost sad reading this letter because I had such a fiery personality where I was proud of who I was and what I believed in. But truthfully, I lost that very quickly in 6th grade, which is when I came to Shady Side. I, the girl who was always smiling, wasn't smiling that much anymore. My middle school years were quite a blur. I struggled. I had a close friend who kept me going, but I hated who I was. Academically, I felt inferior. Socially, I felt like there was always drama that made it hard to find a moment to breathe, and I felt like I was good at nothing. I had wonderful teachers like Mr. and Mrs. Benarchuk, Mr. Gross, Ms. Short, Ms. Nixon, Ms. Katz, and many more who had helped me in times that I needed to be reassured that I could make it to the finish line. But as much as I appreciated their help, once I was in 8th grade, I was ready to move on and have a fresh start in high school. It did not really work that way. I wasn't able to move on from things that haunted me from middle school. Luckily, I was a part of things like the fall play and tennis as soon as the year started, so I did not think too much about that lonely feeling I had. But it was still hard making it through. I struggled initially to connect with my own grade, and then my other problem at the time was that I felt as a freshman, I could not hang out with middle schoolers who I was friends with the previous year, and definitely could not hang out with upperclassmen. So who did that leave me? This was a question that I rattled with for months, up until the winter musical of my freshman year. It was tech week, and I was doing homework and singing Whip It by Devo with my headphones in, and all of a sudden, I had someone tap me on the shoulder. It was Abby Minard. For those of you who did not have the pleasure to know her, she was a senior when I was a freshman. She was quite a fan of Devo, to say the least, but Devo was what started a conversation between me and her, and we quickly became close friends. I became friends with her friends as well, and I felt good. I felt like I actually belonged. It wasn't long until they all graduated, and I was scared of being alone again. But coming into my sophomore year, it was different. I was no longer the youngest in this grade in my school, and it was not as weird to talk to people older than me, and it was so fun reconnecting with old friends from middle school who were freshmen. I was in classes with students in my grade who were so nice, and I was able to become great friends with them as well. Most importantly, I had started growing into myself, so I was able to start making connections. I was building long overdue self-confidence, which felt amazing. So here are my first pieces of advice. There are people everywhere who are waiting to be your friend. It just takes the right place and moment to find them. It is so easy for me to say that you should find a friend like Abby, but I promise that there are people like them that you will encounter at some point. Don't be afraid to try and make friends with people older and younger than you. Age really is just a number. And yes, to answer a question from my third grade self, I now have the most amazing friends with the kindest hearts, so it is possible to find these people. Above all of this though, understand your self-worth. You do not need someone to validate how valuable you are. Self-love is so important. Through middle and high school, I also struggled to accept my culture. At this point in my life, I cannot believe that I did, but I was embarrassed at times that I would be stereotyped. So that scared me for a while to feel like I couldn't share huge parts of my life, like my cultural classical dancing. I mustered the confidence my sophomore year to perform for the school at Global Fusion, and all the positive feedback that I got from it afterwards made me feel so confident. I realized that people were so excited to see something different. So yes, I do still dance. I intend to pursue this passion in college and am no longer masking a huge part of who I am. So my second piece of advice is to make sure that you are proud of who you are and where you come from. This is what makes you unique, and you should never feel like you have to hide something that defines who you are. Going back to the part of the letter where I said that school was super duper easy. Wow, no, not anymore. Middle school coming into the senior school was rough because I felt like I couldn't keep up with the work for the life of me. I got so consumed with the value of the letter I was getting on tests that I drove myself crazy. I've always known that I love kids, but last summer I realized I was actually really good with them too. I worked at a daycare and volunteered at Children's Hospital where I was acknowledged for being good with kids. Once I was able to feel good about a strength of mine like this, I was surprisingly able to feel good about how I do in school and the future I have ahead of me. I feel it is necessary to mention something that I witnessed back in October of this year. I was waiting for class, and I had two freshmen run by me virtually crying because it seemed like they had not done well on a physics test, and one of them said, and I quote, "I'm not going to college, this is a nightmare." I was shocked to hear this because they were freshmen and they were already so concerned about college. Listen, underclassmen, you should care about your grades and how you do, but that only gets you so far. Who you are as a person and what you do besides school is what gives you a leg up in the future. So take a deep breath, you will make it just fine. My aspirations have changed since third grade. I'm interested in the medical field now, but everything I said about teachers in third grade is still so true. My time at the senior school would be nothing without the amazing teachers who I crossed paths with. To name a few, Dr. Brill, Mr. Aiken, Mr. Smith, Ms. Boehm, Dr. Roble, Mr. Runette, Mr. Deal, Mr. Weiss, Dr. Satula, Mr. Hendershot, Mr. Miller, the whole college counseling team, and so many more teachers who have helped me find myself. They have all taught me in combination, beyond school, how to follow my dreams and be proud of who I am. I should probably mention that I have never had Mr. Weiss as a teacher, but I can still say that he has 100% impacted me in the best way possible. So here comes some more advice. Have faith in your teachers. Sit down with them and ask them questions. Get to know them better. They have the most amazing experiences in different places, and they will be some of the most personable people you will ever meet. When they're beating down on you, remember that they are only trying to prepare you. Also, just make sure to reach out to teachers who you've not had as well. Like Mr. Weiss, you never know. They may be able to just pull out their guitar and strum a tune and make you feel better instantly after a rough day of tests and stress. Lastly, we are fortunate to be in a very supportive school environment that encourages students to explore areas that might be of interest. As some of you may recall from the letter that I had you listen to, I referred to a girl named Emma. Emma suffered from severe epilepsy, which was linked to her special needs. She always needed someone to aid her, and she didn't really have anyone who played with her. I actually enjoyed playing with her. She was just always so happy. But in second grade, she had passed away in her sleep. Second grade Riya had no idea how to even process this. But I knew that she was special, and not for her disability, but to shine despite her disability. I've always known that I care about special needs awareness, but my interest in this peaked in philosophy class, which I took my junior year after reading Flowers for Algernon. I took that interest and started getting more involved with the special needs community. As some of you may or may not know, I've had 1 or 2 bake sales, every week for the first half of the year. But what I'm raising money for is something that I deeply care about. Interning with Arts for Autism showed me that I want to pursue a career in medicine where I can help these individuals. My senior school experience would not be complete without having my internship, and as weird as it sounds, bake sales. It feels good to know that I'm doing something with a purpose. So this would be my last piece of advice. Find something at the senior school that you can just completely throw yourself into that's beyond academics. There's so much more to life, and now is your time to find what you're interested in. Coming full circle, back to third grade me versus now, at this point, I'm the closest to my third grade self than I've been for a very long time. I do believe in this thing called positivity, and that things work out. People will surprise you, and you'll become friends with people over the years who you will never expect. My hope is that everyone finds a way to accept who they are, because being different, which we all are, is what makes us special and the world more interesting. Grades do not define who you are, your actions do. Find comfort in the support you have around you. The teachers may be really hard sometimes, but in the end, they all really do have your back and want to see you succeed. Finally, find something that you're passionate about, something that makes you feel complete, because your senior school experience won't impact you as much until you do. Channel your inner elementary school self, because those times were times that we were real with ourselves and others. Elementary school was still a time where most of us were not too concerned about fitting in with other kids. We were able to be our own person, and so take some tips from who you were then. To respond to third grade Riya's comment of, "I hope you are happy and you are great," I can confidently say that yes, I am happy, and yes, I am great. I'm still not perfect and have my ups and downs, but I feel better than ever with where I am at. You can all reach this point too. You just have to realize that your ability is limitless. Thank you.